Hi, and welcome to Something to Talk About. I'm Linda McNamee, and for the next hour or so, as you saw from our introduction, we are going to find all about beep ball. What is beep ball, you say? Well, you're just going to have to hold on for a minute, and you'll find all about the sport from two amazing players. So before I begin, I would like to invite you, if you ever want to email me with a suggestion for a future topic, you can always email talk@bcattv.org. Day or night, love the suggestions. I think that's it for that part of housekeeping. I do want to thank the crew for this evening. Christina Nikitas, Lucian Gates, Evan McNamee, and Gwyneth McNamee have given up their Wednesday evening once again to come hang out at BCAT. And we would also like to thank Chris Flaherty, who is one of the staff members here, making sure us volunteers do everything to the best of our abilities. So thank you all. And last but definitely not least, I would like to thank my husband, Paul, for staying home for daddy date night. Even though the kids are here, you still get to hang out with the furry kids, also known as the cats. So, housekeeping aside, I would now like to introduce one more thing. I would like to wish my sister a happy birthday. Today is her birthday, and my children have nicknamed her Dinkle Die. Long story, but happy birthday, Dink. So now, housekeeping aside, my wonderful guests this evening, we have Gina Quintanilla and Joseph Quintanilla, who are advocates and athletes for adaptive sports, among many other advocates for many other organizations. So thank you guys for coming.
Thank you, Linda. Nice to be with you.
Yes, it's really great to be here.
Yay. And anytime you want a sequel, just let me know. So I always like to begin getting to know my guests a little bit better. So if you can each take your turn telling us about where you grew up and how you came to Burlington, how you came to the Burlington area. Then we can get into how you got involved in beep ball.
Well, ladies first, Gina, why don't you start?
Thank you, hon. So I grew up in Malden, north of Boston.
Okay, not too far.
No, not too far. And I came to Burlington when my husband, Joseph, and I bought a house here. Not long after we got married, so we settled here in Burlington, and we love it here. So,
yay!
Yes, so it's really so nice to be here, in Burlington, and really love learning about BCAT and just everything in general. But as far as beep ball, I learned from Joseph, my husband. So he's been involved with beep ball for a very long time. And I think I remember when I first met him, he was trying to talk to me, and I was kind of like, oh, he's going to try to sign me up for beep ball and not talk to him because I don't want to play beep ball. And so he was like, he was wondering why I wasn't really responding to him, but I had always heard that, like, oh, he's looking for beep ball players. I'm like, I'm not going to talk to him.
So, married him anyway.
I married him, yes. So now I'm on the team no matter what, whether I like it or not. But
by default.
I do like it, so it's amazing. I have a lot of health issues that my blindness is actually a spin-off of, and it's really hard to be physical. And beep ball is really a sport that you can play at all different levels of ability. So I think that's one of the best things about it. It's a game that can be played from all ages. On our team, we have ages 8 to 62.
Oh wow! Okay.
So
there's hope for me after all.
Yes. Yep. We're gonna need you out there.
Been a long time since I was 8. So.
But I want to let Joe speak about this.
What's your story?
So,
where you grew up, how you came to Burlington?
I grew up in Cambridge and been pretty much in the Boston area. Honestly, I think I really had heard of Burlington growing up. Maybe the Burlington Mall, but that wasn't.
Everybody knows about the mall.
Yeah, so that's probably all I knew about Burlington. But When Gina and I got married, we were living in Medford, and rent is crazy.
Ugh.
And Gina had the foresight to say, hey, we might as well spend this money on buying a home. And we actually were trying to buy a house in Woburn,
Okay.
and that fell through.
Ugh.
We were at the courthouse, signed all the papers, but the seller was up to shenanigans, so that fell through. Then we stumbled into a house in Burlington, which Gina said we've been here 5 years. I'm a foodie, so I was shocked how many restaurants are in Burlington.
Oh my gosh, totally.
Yeah, so it's an expensive habit.
Well, yeah, but there are worse habits, you know.
So that's how we came to Burlington. I've been playing beat baseball for 24 years.
Okay.
I was an original member of my old team back in 2001 when, for the first time, I actually got to play baseball. Growing up, I couldn't see well enough to play baseball. So being blind and wanting to play a sport was a tough thing to deal with because you couldn't do it. But when I was in my early to mid 20s, I finally got a chance to play beat baseball, hit a ball that was actually being pitched to me. And a few years ago, I decided I wanted to do something different from my old team and start a new team, which we've started the Boston Strong, which is a team, as Gina said, has kids be a part of it because there are not enough activities for blind people to do,
Okay.
let alone for kids on a weekly basis. So being able to offer that to kids and anyone really who, as Gina said, who might have other challenges, but if they want to be active, they want to participate in sport, and if they want to be competitive or not, that's okay. We want to give people an opportunity to be active, exercise, and be around other people.
Fresh air does a lot of good. Well, how did you find out that beat ball or beat baseball even existed? I mean, it's not like the Boston Red Sox where everybody heard about them.
I'd heard about it from other friends who are blind in other parts of the country, but it wasn't here in Massachusetts.
Okay.
So I'd heard about it. Oddly enough, I was thinking of starting a program 24 years ago, and then came across someone who was starting a program at that time with my old team, the Boston Renegades. So I didn't have to create a team then, but now I did. But it's been around since the late 60s.
Oh, wow.
The National Beat Baseball Association has been around since 1975. There's a World Series tournament every year, which we're planning to be a part of in July in St. Louis.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's a women's all-star game that's a part of that, which Gina will be a part of. There's also, we're trying to work on having a skills contest, like a home run derby equivalent to beat baseball, which I think Gina could represent well.
Yeah.
And so
especially since I read she just got a new bat.
That's right.
she got a new bat, all right.
Lucky
yes.
bat.
So that's how I heard about it, just from other blind people in other parts of the country. And it was really neat to finally get to play it, and now it's equally enjoyable to make that opportunity possible for other people.
Cool. Now, we talked about, well, I don't remember if it was before or my brain has turned to mush, but there aren't a lot of teams available. So how did you, either back when you first joined or now that you've branched off in your own team, how do you recruit players? How do you establish a team? And who do you play against?
So I think recruiting players is definitely a challenge because there's a lot of challenges for people with disabilities to be able to participate. You have transportation, you have, is it going to be welcoming and safe? Is there an environment that's really welcoming to people with disabilities, even though they're supposed to be, sometimes they're not.
Okay.
So there are a lot of barriers. There's the fear factor, there's the, is it expensive? But Gina and I are, I think a lot of people in the blind community know us pretty well from our work.
Okay.
Gina works at Perkins and is a great resource for a lot of people who are blind or visually impaired in all facets of life. And I've worked at other blindness organizations and put on road races and other activities for the blind as a fundraiser. So that helps. So people know us in the community. They know
You've
our
already
personalities.
established that trust.
Yeah, so a lot of it is grassroots and word of mouth, and a lot of it is also just saying to people, you don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to have had experience to play. Just come out and try it. And if you have fun with it, then you can keep doing it. There's no reason for you not to try this, and no reason for you to keep up with it if you're enjoying it.
Cool. How often do you get together as a team, either to practice or to play a game, or both?
Gina, do you want to answer that?
So we tend to practice at least once a week, and when we're getting close to a game, or if this time, we might bump it up to twice a week.
Oh, wow, okay.
And surprisingly enough, the players really want more time. They just want more practice, makes them get better at what they're doing.
That's pretty much with anything.
Yes. So it's not like, oh, I can another practice. Get
Not
up early
again.
on Sunday. Like, no, they're really all eager, and it's really amazing to watch too. A lot of them have never played a sport, and they tried it, and they didn't just find out they liked it. It's almost like they didn't know it was missing from their life. They're so dedicated now. They feel like it's given them so much more confidence, and it's given them goals. It's given them new friends and new connections, and it's also showing them that they can do more than they thought they could do.
Cool. So where do you guys practice?
So we've been fortunate to get support from Tufts University. So for half of our season, we've been practicing in Medford, Somerville on fields at Tufts.
Okay.
And then the rec department here in Burlington has been very helpful. And so we'll practice at Rahanis Park middle of June through the end of August. And actually coming up on Saturday, May 4th, we're doing a clinic, all-day clinic for beep baseball at Rahanis from 9 to 5, and we're bringing in coaches and players from the Indianapolis Thunder team, which I think most people recognize the best team in the league. They've had a great program for 25 years.
Wow.
And part of our mission too is not just to provide the sport and the opportunity for people to play the sport, but we also want to provide the best coaching.
Okay.
And so Adaptive Sports New England is really committed to that, which is what, we're a program under Adaptive Sports New England. And so we're bringing in the coaches not only to teach the players some new skills and new way of doing things, but also some of our volunteer coaches to do it as well. So we're always constantly wanting to learn. But so that's going to be at Rahanis on Saturday, May 4th. And from 2:30 to 4:30, part of that clinic, we're going to play an inter-squad scrimmage. Ooh. So you can come out and watch. Find out what team Gina's on and what team am I on. Are we on the same team or not?
Depends on their mood.
And the one thing to note, though, as a spectator for beep baseball is you have to be quiet.
Oh, well.
The players have to be able to hear the ball. They have to hear the bases for their safety and for them to be able to compete fairly without noise distracting them. As a spectator, you have to be quiet, so it's kind of.
Can you cheer for your favorite person, or is that
after the play?
After the play.
After the play, or when they come up to bat, before the umpire says play ball, you can cheer them on. But after the umpire calls it safe or out, you can cheer as much and loud as you want.
So can you explain the whole game to me? Because the first time. I think you were on my show, talking about something totally different, but 4 years ago, and you're like, oh, it's baseball for the visually impaired. I'm like, what? So how does it work?
So beep baseball is an adaptive form of baseball. So we use a oversized softball, or what they call Midwest size. So it's 16 inches versus 12. And it's been taken apart, and inside of it, they put in a speaker with a beeper, and it has a broken tone, so it's a boop, boop, boop kind of sound.
Okay.
And the pitcher and catcher are on your team. They're not throwing it to strike you out. They're sighted, and they're 20 feet away, and the pitcher will say, ready, pitch, as they're releasing the ball. So when they say the word pitch, that's when the ball is coming out of their hand.
Okay.
The players are blindfolded because vision impairment has a pretty broad spectrum. Some people have a lot of usable vision during the day, but no usable vision at night. Some
Okay.
people have only light perception. So to keep it all in the same playing field, everyone has to wear a blindfold.
Okay.
And when you're at bat, you'll listen to the ball and you'll listen to the pitcher say ready pitch, and you want to swing at the same time and at the same height. And if you make contact with the ball, you'll run to a buzzing base, which is a 4-foot pylon. It's foam and it buzzes. It's a different sound than the ball. It's more of a kind of sound. And it's 100 feet away versus 90.
Oh,
It's-
wow.
it's,
okay. I
set-
didn't realize it was that far away.
Yeah, it's set in 10 feet of foul territory so that it minimizes collision potential from the runner going to the base versus the fielders trying to find the ball. And unlike in baseball where you circle the diamond, you do not have to do that in beat baseball. If you get to the base and it's random, either first or third, whichever is buzzing, before the fielders pick up the ball, it's a run.
Oh.
If the fielders pick it up before you get to the base, it's an out. And getting to the base means having contact with the base, so touching it, tackling it, clotheslining it, whatever you do to just make sure you
That's why
touch
it's
it.
padded.
Yes, exactly. And then on defense, you have 6 people on the field on defense. You play zones, or we kind of create zones. So zone 1 is down the first base line, and zone 6 is down the third base line, and you kind of go across the field 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
And you have 2 sighted volunteers on the field that will put you back in your spots. And then they'll call a number. They can't tell you, oh, it's in front of you, or it's behind you, or to your left, or to your right. They can only say a number to indicate where the ball is going, and that number is relating to the zone. So if the ball is going down the first baseline, they'll say 1. If it's going up the middle and to the right of second base, they'll say 3.
Okay.
So they can change the pitch of their voice to give an indication to the defenders what the ball is doing. So if the ball's in the air going towards first base, they'll go 1, so that we know
I
that we
love
kind of
it.
start to back up. If the ball was hit really hard down the first baseline, they'll go 1. If it was
In
hit,
other words, duck.
yeah, exactly. If it was hit weakly and letting the defenders know the ball's not going to get to you, you got to come up on it, they might go 1. My voice isn't that great, so I would not be a good spotter for that reason. But
Okay.
and then the defense is set up in a way where you want to have 3 or 4 layers of defense. So you have the front line, trying to
Okay.
get the ball, and we dive on the ground with our arms over our head.
Okay.
And we're on our side, so we're trying to make a wall with our body to
Oh.
block the ball.
Okay.
'Cause
And
it-
you're not worried about getting hit in the face or
What
anything?
happens?
Well, as I'm telling some of my newer team members, there's no fear in this dojo. So that could be a
Okay.
fear factor, but you can't really think about that when you're competing.
Okay.
We do try to have people protect their face like this with their arms over their head.
okay.
But it can happen. I mean, in sports, injuries are likely to happen one way or another, so we're not immune to that.
Okay.
But we want to block the ball with our body, because if I'm 5'10", so if I have my arms extended and I'm laying on my side and making a wall, I'm covering about 8 or 9 feet of the field. If I'm just standing straight up and crouching and trying to grab the ball as it's coming towards me, I'm probably going to Billy Buckner it, for those of you who are Red Sox fans.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
have a less chance of making the put out. So that's how we
Okay.
defend, and we have sort of 3 lines of defense. If the front line doesn't get it, the second line, the third line, and we all kind of move to the zones. So that's how we
Okay.
defend, and
So-
that's how the game works.
The ball is making like a buzz or a beeping
Beeping sound, yeah.
when it's pitched. After the batter makes contact, is it still beeping when it gets out to the field?
Yes, it is.
So the fielder can
find
kind of.
They'll listen to the ball. They have to listen to the ball.
Okay.
So the game is about listening. I like to say it's not hand-to-eye coordination, it's hand-to-ear coordination.
Okay.
And so, but it does happen because it is a speaker, and if you hit it in the right spot with the bat, you're going to break the speaker or the ball. So if the ball stopped beeping, the defense could yell dead ball, and the umpire will verify that it is not emitting any sound. Then they'll get a new ball and replay that. So there's a rule like that where you can replay that if the ball or any equipment malfunctions. They'll kind of review it, make sure it was correct, that there was malfunctioning equipment, and then they'll replay it. So when we go to tournaments, go to compete, one of the things we are responsible for bringing beyond our own hitting equipment and whatever we need to warm up and so forth is we need to bring at least 6 good working balls to kind of rotate amongst the games with the team that we're competing against. Fortunately, we don't have to bring our bases all the time.
Okay. Yeah, because those
They take up a lot of space.
Take up a lot of space in your suitcase.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even fit in our suitcase.
I got a Christmas tree bag with wheels to fit.
Oh,
in.
okay.
So I was thinking outside the box.
She's our equipment manager at times, Gina. She's very clever at finding things that we can adapt to carry our equipment or make it easier for blind people to travel with.
He also has me UV clean equipment for cleanliness, hygiene.
Okay. Got a couple of questions based on what you had just explained. Now, there's a base where traditional baseball has a first base as well as third base. How is it determined which base you run to? Is it just like the umpire's whim?
Yes.
Or is it like if the ball is headed toward zone 1, they have the runner go to zone 6?
That makes a lot of sense, but it is so it is at the whim of the umpire.
Okay.
Because the base has to be triggered instantly as the ball is being hit. So there's no advantage or disadvantage.
Okay,
And
all right.
the fielder doesn't know where the ball is going, nor does the batter know where they're running to until they hear the sound. What you just said makes sense from a practical standpoint and minimizing potential collisions.
Okay.
But by the time the umpire were to see where the ball is going, then decide, okay, I'm going to do this, that's already costing some time for the batter.
Oh, okay. So will the umpire trigger the base noise when the pitch is coming in?
As it crosses the home plate.
Okay,
Yep.
so the ball may or may not have contact with the bat.
It may not, and just in case, I mean, even if you swing and miss, the base will go off.
Okay.
Anyway, so, but yeah, that's the safest way. So when we have volunteers who've never done it before, as operate the base, we'll just tell them when you hear the word pitch, then hit the base switch.
Oh, okay. So yeah, when it's, okay, I get it. Next question that was triggered. I told you before I'm the queen of tangents. You mentioned that there's a specialized ball that the team provides, but before I had read that Gina just got her own bat. Are there team provided bats? Do you need to have your own equipment? Like, do you need gloves? Do you need your own bat? And what does the bat look like? I mean, is it the same as a normal baseball bat, or has it been adapted somehow so it doesn't destroy the ball?
No, it's just a regular bat. It's a softball bat, or some use baseball bats. They're usually aluminum.
Okay.
We have used some wood, I think, but I think the aluminum hold up better, but they still end up getting warped. I mean, the equipment takes a beating because the balls are so much bigger and heavier with the speaker and equipment inside of them. So, but no, the team has bats and has all the equipment, but just people who really want to get into the sports, try to get their own bat. They because they come in so many weights and sizes, and everyone, the different bats work better for different people.
Okay.
So they find one, and then they can consistently work out with this same bat. Because I found a bat that I liked, and I actually hit a really good ball down the middle, but then that bat got warped.
Oh,
so now
okay.
my good luck bat is gone. So I guess I can feel like I can, if I use my own bat, then hopefully I'll have it longer, and no one else will use it to.
Right, so you know exactly how it's being cared for.
Right, so.
Well, and she can practice at home on her own.
Also.
So she can take some swings
Okay.
in our living room or sunroom and just in her head she can say ready, pitch, and
Just not by any of the windows.
Yeah.
Yes, I was doing that. When I was looking at bats at Dick's Sporting Goods, I did hit something with my
Whoops.
swing. I hit a display or something. I knocked something off, but the guy's like, "That's all right. Don't worry about it." So,
As long as you didn't hit the guy, I think we're okay.
No, I didn't hit any people. No, but yeah, it's. I was doing it in our living room. I'm like, oh, I don't know if there's enough room. I'm going to go outside. But they have something called a hit stick that if you have someone with you, they hold it and it has a ball in the end. I don't know if anyone knows or heard of them.
Oh.
But I can swing at that in practice on my batting mechanics, so to speak. So.
Okay.
There's also, we practice sometimes inside a batting tunnel. One of our members has one in their home.
Oh, cool.
So we've done that when it's too cold to be outside.
Okay.
So another opportunity to work on things, off season.
Okay,
So-
because I'm also guessing you probably don't play in the rain, one, because it's completely miserable, but two, with all this electronic equipment, it probably can't take quite a beating either.
It definitely impacts the ball, for sure.
Yeah.
But however, if we're playing in tournaments or games, you have to play through it sometimes.
Okay.
Unless it's lightning potential, or if it's raining so hard that it becomes too hard to hear, and it becomes a danger
I'm just thinking
to the
it's
players.
slippery when it rains, and you don't
Yeah,
want to slide into mud.
Yeah, well, that's sometimes you got to deal with. But I think, so one of the things that makes our program different than my old program is we do provide the equipment. People do have to buy their own, say, cleats or batting gloves or any other, their baseball pants.
Okay.
But the equipment is pretty expensive. One beep baseball costs $40.
Wow. Okay.
A set of bases costs $400. So we go through probably 30 to 60 balls that we break minimum a year.
Okay.
So that's, you multiply that, that's $2,500 just in balls alone that we have to pay for. But our other part of our mission is we don't want people to incur additional costs. I mentioned there are barriers for people with disabilities to participate in things.
Okay.
Disabled sports or adaptive sports is very cost prohibitive. So that's why we buy the equipment, but also the travel. We have to travel to go to compete against other teams. So one of our missions, Adaptive Sports New England, is not have to have our players required to raise money or pay activity fees, that we're coming up with the funding so that they can travel and compete. Same for our volunteers. So far we've been able to do that last year and this year. Our budget's getting a little bit higher, so we're hoping to be able to get more donations. But we don't want to be like our other teams where you have to raise the amount of money for you to be able to travel and compete, because that becomes an impediment for participation.
Absolutely.
So we want to eliminate those barriers. So that's what makes us different from the Renegades, along with some of the other things that we've said, is that we're not having the players or the volunteers have to carry the load on the fundraising or pay out of their pocket.
So what kinds of fundraisers, you mentioned, was it May 4th?
Well, May 4th is just a clinic, so it's a lot of practice, but people can come and observe, and we're always looking for volunteers as well. And I think the Burlington High softball team is going to help us out that afternoon a little bit, which will be great.
Yes.
But
really
we're
great.
in the process of working on doing a rock climbing fundraiser at Central Rock Gym in Watertown.
Oh,
And
excellent.
so the entire registration fee would go to support our team. We will have volunteer belayers to assist. We'll have some food. We'll have some raffle items. And people can also visit our website, adaptivesportsne.org, and click on Beat Baseball or the donation page and make a donation. And we're just getting started. This is our second full year, so we haven't.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize you were that new.
Yeah, so we haven't established a lot of fundraisers yet, but the rock climbing one's one where you can bring your kids, you can be adults. It's for everyone. Whether you have if you have a disability and or your children have a disability, you can come and climb. So that's going to be our first real fundraiser, and then we'll find other vehicles to raise funds. We did like a little NCAA bracket pool last month, so we'll try to grow that a little bit more. So we're definitely looking forward to having some support from the local community, which
Yes,
we've been lucky to have so far.
Also
Excellent.
through the Lions clubs, they've been really
Oh,
generous.
yeah.
The
Because
Woburn Host Lions especially been really helpful with donations. you know,
Okay.
supporting.
And the Middlesex Lions just donated as
Yes,
well.
that's my Lions Club. Joe's a Woburn Host Lion, and I'm a Middlesex Lion. So we're trying to get more involved in the community.
So do they provide equipment, or do they just have like funding available to help defray the costs of travel? Because like you mentioned, St. Louis.
Yes. So the Woburn Host Lions do provide financial support, but they've also, when there's been a tournament in Boston, which we'll be hosting one next year,
Okay.
they've really been a catalyst to be able to host a tournament by getting access to fields, providing volunteers, providing food,
Even cooking
raising
the food
money.
themselves
Ooh,
and serving the food.
Yep.
They're really wonderful.
And the Middlesex Lions have helped out with that as well.
Yes,
And what also the Woburn Host Lions did, which is really neat, which I think other clubs are looking to do in other parts of the country when they're involved with beat baseball, is they've raised enough money to give every team some money to, if you're traveling from Philadelphia with 10, 12 players and 6, 7 volunteers, that adds up. And so each, this past year, the tournament that was held in Woburn, each team got $1,000.
Oh,
which
that
is
helps.
huge,
Club.
which allows these teams to be able to compete more readily. So the financial support, as well as having the infrastructure and volunteers to put on a tournament, has been really huge.
Okay. Because I'm noticing you have these really awesome shirts, and I'm thinking to like the Burlington Youth Baseball, they get like team sponsors, and the team sponsor's name goes on the back. And I'm wondering, do you have any opportunities like that? Are there any plans to have like a sponsorship like that and get your name on a t-shirt or something? Or
Something we haven't thought of, just because we don't play enough games locally, or well, I don't know if that's a factor or not. If anyone's watching and wants to just be supportive,
Yes.
we'll put you on anything. But most of our games we have to travel to.
Okay.
So we were hoping to play at Fenway Park this past weekend, and that was rained out. We were going to play my old team. Our next games are going to be in in Central Park against Long Island. We're going to play a doubleheader with them. Then we're going back to Long Island in June and New Jersey for tournaments on the weekends.
Okay.
And then the World Series tournament. So most of our games are in tournaments, and every other year is where we're able to have one here in the area. But the Burlington Fire Department, we're trying to see if we can do an exhibition game with them. And
Ooh, that would be cool.
yeah, and we'll put blindfolds on them or any group that wants to play with us, and teach them how to communicate without being able to see, and support each other and play the game. And they were generous and supported us last year with a donation, so we're hoping that we'll be able to actually play a game this year. We sometimes could look at Lions clubs to play us, or any corporation that wants to play an exhibition game with them and treat it as a team building exercise. It's fun, it's enjoyable, and
it's good practice.
And
Especially for the players,
so we
too.
could definitely do all kinds of things. Gina's a whiz at social media, so we'll promote and acknowledge anyone who's able to support us.
Excellent. Now, when we were talking about equipment a few minutes ago, you had mentioned that you have to show up at a game with at least 6 beat balls, and they don't have a really long lifespan. Where do you get this equipment? Because you can't just I know Gina mentioned
Yes.
that you got your bat at Dick's Sporting Goods, but you
Right.
can't really go there and get a dozen beat balls. One,
Right.
it's really expensive, and 2, I can't imagine them just having a bunch in stock.
So we get the balls from the Telephone Pioneers in Colorado, and oddly enough, it's funny that they call them that. The Telephone Pioneers, people that work for the telephone company, actually took the old telephone equipment and used it for this equipment.
Oh, wow.
So the equipment inside the beep ball and some of the bases actually came from telephone equipment.
Wild.
So it was a way of repurposing it, recycling it, and I think it was a great idea. So, and it's funny though, the technology hasn't really changed and since the 70s. Somebody is just now working on trying to make a more modernized base, and maybe balls will come after that as well. But right now, pretty much you can only get the beeping balls from the Telephone Pioneers in Colorado, and so everyone's going to them. So so there's a list of people waiting, to get. Oh, they need more. So it's kind of a slow process since it's the only place or pipeline you can get that equipment.
What's like the turnaround time? Like, do you order them all in the beginning of the season?
We ordered them a year ago.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
season. It's since COVID, it's made it more difficult.
That's true too.
They're volunteers doing this, so it's definitely challenging to get more people to come in. So it can take 3 or 4 months sometimes.
Okay.
So yeah, we've got to be on top of the
during COVID,
game.
it was a lot longer, but yes.
Everything was longer during COVID.
Yes. So, but too bad. We can't. There's not a lot of places we can get the equipment still.
Okay.
So, I'm like, with 3D printing and everything, you'd think there'd be.
Seriously, you can make anything now. They build houses out of 3D printers or using 3D printers.
Yes.
Okay. Joe mentioned the plans to have played at Fenway Park last weekend. Can you tell me more about that? I mean, how did you Red Sox aren't exactly like opening their doors and letting anybody play. So how did you get that invitation? And was there something else involved in the exhibition game at Fenway?
Yeah, so you take that, Joe, and how
Sure.
you got started with, I know, Sarah.
So there's they have a sort of disability affinity group at the Red Sox. They're called the SAND Network. I believe it stands for Sensory Ambulatory Neurodiverse Network.
Okay.
And so their focus within this employee group is to make Fenway Park accessible for everybody.
Oh,
And
okay.
so last year they had a Blind Awareness Day, and then they had a Disability Pride Night, as in have pride in your disability and being who you are.
Okay.
And I was fortunate to be selected to throw out the first pitch that game. And this young lady, Sarah, has been a huge ambassador and advocate for people with disabilities. And so she pretty much put it all together. And just with her and her colleagues, just really wanting it to make the game accessible and make the blind community be able to come. And as she said to me, now that there are two beep baseball teams in Boston, what better than to have a beep baseball game at Fenway Park and invite the blind community to it?
That's
And so
awesome.
she's been just a wonderful champion for our community. So unfortunately, because there is a lot of demand and interest in having activities at Fenway Park when the Sox are not playing, it's unlikely that we will be able to play this year and reschedule it.
Darn.
But she will do her best. I'm certain of it. And for sure, we'll have a scheduled date for next year because everything was coming together. We're going to probably have over 600 people attend to watch this game and audio describe it for blind people. And it was open, free admission, open to the public to attend. So once it gets rescheduled, we'll let you know, Linda, and you can tell your
absolutely.
viewers.
Oh, you're going to come
down.
back and tell me all about it.
Yes.
Don't put all of this on me. No, you're going to do it. You just mentioned, the descriptive video. Flashback. I used to work in public broadcasting, and I'm dating myself again, at the time were pioneers in descriptive video service. With the advent of digital technology and digital broadcasting, is that still a thing?
Oh yes, definitely. And WGBH still does a lot with that. They still provide audio description.
Okay.
Descriptive video. It's just there's different names for the same thing.
Okay.
So descriptive video, of course, used to be for things that came out on VHS, DVD, movies, CDs, but audio description, it might be a word you use if you go to the theater and you see
Okay.
the live performance, then you're seeing audio description of the performance, or you're hearing it with a headset usually.
Oh, that's wild.
But yeah, it's still definitely a thing. You can get it on your television. Now, it used to be through Second Audio Programming, SAP.
Yeah.
But now they have it just straight through your cable TV provider. So.
Okay, I think that's kind of what I was thinking at, because I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
Well, I was not we've both been visually impaired or blind all our lives, so I was not a person that enjoyed going to the movies because they didn't have audio description, but Gina knew more about it, has experienced it more, so she got me into watching movies. So we'll go to AMC here in Burlington, and fortunately Burlington's, I think all their movies, all their theaters have audio description for all the movies they show. So we'll go to the movies 3 or 4 times a year. Gina streams Netflix, and we'll watch. I threw out there's no no fear in this dojo, so I was a big fan of Cobra Kai, the series.
Okay.
So Gina got me into that with the audio description there.
I'm just thinking it's her revenge for, you roping her into playing beatball to begin with.
Yes. I make them watch the chick flicks and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's revenge, But Burlington Cinema has been really great when we go there. They've been so helpful. And it's great that they have, sometimes you go to a theater and they only have one screen that has audio description, and then half the time it's not working. And there's been all kinds of issues, but it's improved quite a bit now. So,
Excellent.
But there's also a lot of content online with streaming, like Joe said, Netflix, Amazon Video, Paramount Plus. Oh
wow. Okay.
So I stream on most of those things, and there's a lot of content. I wish there was more, though. There's still not a lot considering what's out there, but.
Okay. Yeah, but just because it's out there does not mean it's good.
Right. I feel like, if you went to a restaurant and the only thing on the menu was chicken, it's like.
Yeah, true.
I try to, we want variety, and we want, we do want some recent things too. When new movies come out, we'd like, and actually that's the ones that have the description though nowadays, is when they first come out, but then they disappear, and it's like, wait a minute, I saw that movie with description at the theater, but now I can't find it.
Oh,
so
okay.
So sometimes that can happen. But
okay, thinking back to baseball and beatball, you are required to travel a lot. How long are these trips usually? Like, you can't exactly just pop down to St. Louis for a day.
Yeah, so the World Series tournament is a week-long tournament.
Okay.
There'll be about 20 teams to 24 teams competing.
Okay.
So it's a week-long. We'll play for 4 days. I'm not going to be bold to say we'll make the championship game, but if we were, we would play a 5th day. Theoretically. The first, you're playing 3 games a day for 4 days in a row.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a lot.
You're out there in 80 to 110 degree temperatures for 8 to 9 hours a day. So it's not a vacation.
No.
In your vacation sense. Your body's sore, you're tired, you're hot, you're dehydrated. The regional tournaments, like when we go to Central Park or New Jersey or Long Island, those are weekend tournaments. So we'll carpool on a Friday, stay overnight, play 2 or 3 games on Saturday, drive back Saturday night.
Okay.
But the St. Louis trip will require us to fly.
Okay.
We'll be staying in a hotel for 6 days or 7 days, and then fly back the following Sunday. So we'll be traveling Sunday to Sunday in St. Louis.
So who makes all these arrangements?
So I do a good chunk of it. Adaptive Sports New England's program manager, Sam, does it. And Gina is a huge help doing research and advising me and, giving up some of her time to do some research and finding some really good alternatives for us.
I just go to the Burlington resident group.
Yeah, finding us a place to meet for that
Yes,
for
thank you
next Friday.
Famous Pizza.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh.
We're gonna have
yeah.
our
they are
yeah.
amazing.
So we're gonna have part of our clinic in their meeting room there. So
Oh, cool.
So Gina's, like you said earlier, she's a great resource for information. So
I ask everyone. Right?
Why not?
But thank you, because they're the one that told us about that. We get food from them all the time. They're wonderful. But we had no idea they had that dining room available.
Well, I
So-
first found out about it because, like, during COVID, I'm also a Girl Scout leader, and everybody, you may remember, had to be, 6 feet apart.
Yes.
So they have a dining area that probably has like maybe a dozen booths. So each Girl Scout had her own booth, and naturally it was, socially distant.
Oh, okay.
So it was, and Dina helped me with a fundraiser that we did. We did a paint night, and she provided, food at cost. And oh my gosh, she's amazing.
Yes,
They are.
she is.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you guys were able to hook up.
yeah.
But I'm just, with all the travel that you're doing, transportation. How do you get enough cars to carry all of your teammates, your equipment? Driving in New York City, I don't want to do it. Lodging, lodging is expensive. So, finding a place that has enough. How many people are normally on a beat ball team?
So in the game, you'll play 6 or 7 people.
Okay.
You can do a designated fielder and have 6 batters. But I'd say a good roster, because especially when you go to these tournaments, you probably should have 12 to 15 players.
Okay.
Because you're hitting the ground, you can get hurt, you need substitutions. It's a long day.
Yeah, 3 games a day. I mean,
And
geez.
if you need at least a minimum of 5 volunteers to to make sure you don't tax everyone.
Okay.
So when we go to Central Park, we'll probably have 12 or 13 players, 8 or 9 volunteers, and for the World Series, we're probably looking at having 13 or 14 players and probably 7 or 8 volunteers.
Yeah, so that's like 20, 25 people,
Yeah,
no problem. So that gets a little complicated here.
We have really dedicated volunteers that are, I would say, in the true sense, altruistic. They're looking to make themselves available and facilitate the experience for a blind person. They're not interested about what they're necessarily getting out of it.
Okay.
The blind person is going to come first, which is really important, and that's what I think makes our team special, is that the blind person's always going to come first. It's being led by blind people. I'm the head coach and the player. Our defensive coach is also blind, and we played the game. And again, we have Gina and others are helping make some decisions and assisting me that are also blind. So we really take that into account. As there's a phrase in the disabled community, nothing about us without us. And we really take that to heart.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. So if you're traveling with, going back to the whole travel thing and fielding a team, you do have like 20 people needed for any one trip, any one tournament. How many people do you have available? Because I can't imagine one person other than you guys be available every single game, every single weekend. So is there like a requirement where if you want to be on this team, you have to make 75% or 100, or you're only allowed to miss twice? Or how do you figure all of that out?
No, really, whatever time you have to donate to the team, if we ask you if you can participate in something and you say yes, then we hope that you'll follow through with that. But there's no requirement that you have to do every practice, every game. It's really what your time availability is.
Okay.
I think it gets hard though when we travel, because people have to take time off of work, and it's a little bit more complicated. But they do it. They're happy to do it. They're really dedicated to the team, and so it's really amazing to know that they're giving freely of their time, and it's really generous of them to travel, to this place or that place with the team, just volunteering their time. So, but we do need more volunteers because of that. Not everyone can be there all the time, so if anybody can even do 1 day a month or 2 days, whatever it may be, it could be really helpful to the team.
So how would someone go about volunteering, and what types of volunteer roles are there?
Okay, Joe, is it?
Yeah, so you can definitely visit adaptivesportsne.org, or we're both on the Burlington Facebook group.
Okay.
Gina Russo, her alias, and Joe Quintanilla, and direct message us. We'll definitely get in touch and let you know. But the kinds of things that we need help with are setting up the base every time we knock it over.
Okay.
Helping guide players from one station to the other station when we're doing drills in different stations. If you have any baseball knowledge or skills on teaching people how to swing a bat, because most of them never have held a bat before and know how to swing or use their hands or use their feet or use their hips. Teaching someone how to shuffle defensively or how to improve their base running. It could be as simple as operating the base switch.
Ooh, I like that.
Hit the switch.
Hitting the ball out into the defense. So when we have a defensive unit out there and we need to simulate how the ball is being hit out to us in the game, then having that. So there are various roles. I think people not only find the game interesting and dynamic as they see it being played, but I think they do find the reward in seeing the joy that people are having when they're playing it.
And basically, you don't need any previous experience to volunteer. You don't have to have any knowledge of the sport. You just really just have time to donate. That's all you need to have. So.
Well, and wanting to learn more about the game. That's really cool.
Right. Well, yeah, by volunteering with us, you get an opportunity up close to really learn about all these things and ask questions, and where you might not have if you're just kind of watching by afar. So definitely encourage people to come and even watch our practices and scrimmages, like Joe had said. I know somebody on Facebook said that they did notice us practicing and they were watching and they were curious, and so we like that. That's great to be curious about it, and hopefully they'll want to know more.
On the Adaptive Sports New England website, is there a schedule so people can find out where you're going to be practicing or where you might be playing?
That's a good question. There should be.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I've not visited the site recently.
Okay.
But there was last year, so there should be.
Okay.
There's also my email address is there as well. And also, if people wanted to financially support it, there's a donation page there, and you can put in Beat Baseball or Boston Strong.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, our schedule should be on there. There is a Adaptive Sports New England Facebook page, and we're hoping that we'll have a team Facebook page as well.
Oh, cool.
Where that'd probably be the best place for immediate information if we're able to put it together.
Looking back, we only have like 3 minutes left, by the way. Looking back from before you were aware of beep ball even existing to now, how have you found yourselves changing because of participating in the sport?
You go ahead, Joe.
So for me, when I started, I was a player only, and I was, I mean, I'm still extremely competitive, so I wouldn't say that that's changed, but I think I channel it in a different way. I also, when we're playing games as a coach, I'm less stressed than when I was just a player, oddly enough.
Okay.
But I also am able to more directly feel and experience the reward of having people join our team who could not run to the base the first practice they were there because they were afraid or couldn't hear it well, and then a month later they're running to it in 7 seconds.
Wow.
And be able to appreciate and feel that we were a part of that as coaches and volunteers has been really neat. And the things I hear from parents about how thankful they are for our program, I don't think I would have reacted or felt the same way when I was just playing. So that's been really neat. And then to have Gina in this iteration of my beat baseball career be a part of the team and enjoy it and help me with finding equipment and being a sounding board and recruiting and helping has been neat to have her as my lifelong partner. To have her be a partner in this is also enjoyable and really neat.
Yes. So I echo everything Joe said. And for a while he was going off to the World Series every summer, and I was like, I was left behind. But now we're doing it together, and it's so much. It's made such a difference. It's also brought me to realize that I could do more than I thought I could do, because I never thought I could hit a ball with a bat. Not just because of my blindness, but I have other mobility issues and things like that. So I'm learning that I can do more. And I think Joe should say about the reason he picked the name Strong, the Boston Strong, is for there's strength within us, not muscles, but the resilience that it takes to be disabled, to have any disability is hard. And even when you don't have a disability, life is hard. But the sport is teaching us to be strong and resilient, and to know that we can work together as a team.
Oh, you guys are so inspirational. Anything else that we haven't discussed that you just want to give a special shout out about anything related to beat ball?
I think that I would probably more reiterate that, those of you in the Burlington community, come out and watch us. May 4th, 2:30, we'll have a scrimmage. I think you'll be impressed with the athleticism and the passion for the sport. But also, if you see any of us with disabilities in Burlington or in the other communities, realize that we're just like you. We're just like your kids, your grandkids, your parents. We have the same interests, same desires, want to have the same level of life, whether it's recreational, athletic, vocational, social. We're just like anyone else, part of the community. We don't see very well, but that's the only difference.
Excellent. Well said.
Yes.
Well, we are out of time. So thank you both for giving up your evening to come hang out at BCAT, share your stories. I know I was very inspired, and as soon as we get off the set, I'm going to write May 4th on my calendar.
Well,
thank you so much.
It was great to be with you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
And I also want to thank everyone at home for tuning in this evening. I hope you have been inspired and are ready to go out and conquer the world as well. So thank you for tuning in. Have a great night, and I'll see you around town. Good night.